Welcome back to Journey with Akira. I'm your host, Akira. In today's episode, Miraculous Healing, Torn ACL Naturally and Without Surgery. When I tore my ACL on a ski slope in Aspen, the doctors insisted on surgery. But in that moment, I felt a fire in my belly, an unmistakable inner knowing that said no. That no led me to a world of silence, prayer, and disciplined inner focus. Today, I share how faith and surrender led to a complete healing without surgery and the inner practices that supported it. Joining me to explore this awakening is my dear friend Katerina. Let's begin.
Can you share the significance of your knee injury and how it became a catalyst for your journey into natural and spiritual healing?
When I lived in California, I was offered a job to work for a big hedge fund in New York City, and I was torn. This big job offer was interesting, and that's when I started following my higher self. I would always tune in the morning. My higher self, guide me. What do I do today? And if I had a question, I would ask, please show me the answer, show me the way. Push me if I'm supposed to move to New York or stop me if it's not in my highest good. I actually learned this from a book, Elizabeth Clare Prophet, Access the Power of Your Higher Self, and also from a book from Shakti Gavain, Living in the Light. That's what I practiced for years, and I started noticing that it did guide me. And if I didn't listen, then something bad would happen. And I was thinking to myself, yes, it's working. So when we make mistakes, it's actually good because it's showing us that we are being guided. About a week later, I was skiing and I tore my ACL, the ligament in your knee. That injury made it impossible for me to take the job because I literally couldn't walk. I was on crutches, right, in big pain. And this was in Aspen, so they were taking me on a sled down the hospital. Doctor looked at MRI. He said, surgery right away. And I had this huge fire in my stomach, like a fireball, a big warning, no. And so I looked at the doctor. I said, no, I'm not getting a surgery. And I decided that I'm going to heal it myself naturally. I'll do anything to learn about spiritual healing. And even when I was in a sled down the hill, I knew there was something wrong with my knee, and I was already visualizing it growing back, praying for it. Looking back, that knee injury was a turning point. It marked the beginning of my journey into natural healing and led me to explore new avenues of healing and spirituality that I might have never discovered otherwise.
What did the doctor say, and what did you do? I mean, how did you heal your knee? It's kind of a miracle, isn't it?
I think it is. This was 20 years ago. I looked online and I wanted to find one person. If I found one person that healed the ACL that grew back, I knew I can do it, but I couldn't find it. And when I mentioned my friends, I'm going to heal it, all of my ski buddies, they were saying, there's no way you can stretch a rubber band and attach it to your bones. I was facing a lot of roadblocks and I was determined. I started meditating, visualizing it. At that time, I learned this meditation where you increase your blood flow to a part of your body, to my knee, because the knee doesn't heal very well because there's not enough blood supply. After about 5 minutes of this meditation, I was feeling more tingling in my knee. I went on a detox to detox my body so my body could heal naturally. I was visualizing little tailormen in my knee, sewing my knee back, patching it up. I trusted my body and I prayed to God, please help me heal. And I really listened to my body. I rested. I didn't feel like pushing my body. I didn't believe in the physical therapy pushing right after the injury. I was lovingly touching my knee, giving it love, and visualized a golden healing light. After a month, I went back to see my doctor for checkup, but during the examination, he actually re-injured my knee. I said, my knee is feeling so much better. Look, I can walk. And he said, that's not possible. Sit down. He takes his arm and he yanks on it, fully pushes my knee the other way, and he re-injured it. I was in so much more pain than before. I was crying for a whole week with pain, and that experience pushed me to seek alternative help even more. Although I was almost at the point of giving up. Now all this work I did, all the meditation, prayer is wasted. I have to start all over. So I was feeling pretty discouraged and miserable, but I didn't want to give up. My friend told me one day, I see that this knee injury is really affecting you. Have you heard of this healer? And I said, no. So I went online, I studied everything. I bought all the books that were written, how he does the healings there. And I decided I'm going to go. I went for 3 weeks. While I was there, I received healing and learned deeply about spiritual and energy healing, especially the power of prayer. His teachings and the energy work I witnessed profoundly shaped my spiritual path. It opened me to a whole new understanding of healing, not just physical, but emotional and spiritual as well.
Can you tell us about the healing modalities that were used?
They were so interesting and fascinating. When you show up, he decides if you're ready to go to have a spiritual surgery, which is you go to sit in a meditation room for about 20 minutes with people, whoever he decides that are ready for it. And you put your hand on a part of the body that needs a healing. You open your heart and you pray to God to get healing and allow the angels to touch and heal you. After receiving the energy healing, everybody is instructed to lie down for 48 hours with eyes closed in complete silence and stillness, staying in prayer and meditation. You can have your people come and bring you food. Imagine 48 hours lying in bed. I was so committed to give it my all. This was such a deep meditation. Because I was in finance for so many years, I tried to meditate. I never was able to. I would try to count till 100. I couldn't get past 10. So now suddenly I had to do this. That alone was a powerful experience. And then after this 48 hours, for 7 days, you're not allowed to have deep conversation with anybody. So you're actually constantly in meditation. And so what happened the first night after the surgery, I had this dream where I was with my mom and dad. We were in some incredible cathedral, high ceilings, beautiful, so gigantic. And there were this beautiful woman in white dresses dancing and spinning. It was like a celebration. It was a ceremony. My parents wanted to keep walking. And I said, my knee hurts. I can't walk with you. And then there was a carriage with horses, and they stopped and they asked me to get on this carriage. So we went through this cathedral with the horses and carriage. That's how I woke up. And I felt that this was a celebration of my healing, that this is going to heal. It was enlightening and beautiful. I was inspired. It was supportive. Can you imagine that? The 48 hours?
That's incredible. I can't imagine laying in bed for 48 hours and meditating, sleeping, eating, but keeping your mind focused on your knee and the healing that is happening. And that is your whole purpose for doing all of this. So your mind has to just keep going back to your knee and the healing that's happening. How did that feel? How did you do it?
I was so determined. I felt so grateful that I was doing fine with it. The interesting thing is that after 7 days, you're supposed to go see him again. You go for a revision. He sees you and he says, surgery this afternoon. So he sent me for another surgery the 7th day again. I had 3 surgeries back to back, another 48 hours lying down. Pretty much the whole time I was there for 3 weeks, I was in silence. The healing center had pictures of Jesus everywhere, and that's the first time I learned about Jesus. Because in my communist country, I grew up in Czech Republic, we weren't allowed to go to church. We would go to jail. I really wasn't aware much of any of that. And then I saw these beautiful, enlightening images of Jesus and other ascended masters. I felt the vibration was so healing, and I felt in such a good hands that I was grateful.
What other healing modalities did you explore and experience during your recovery?
During that time, I also experienced other healing modalities that were part of the Central's offerings. I bathed in a sacred waterfall, believed to be charged with healing energies, and it felt incredible cleansing. One of the modalities he includes is he writes prescription to people to go bath in the sacred waterfall to get cleansing and healing. I asked, and he wrote a prescription for me to go to the waterfall. I was so happy. And you have to follow certain rules. So you're not supposed to go there alone. Go with honor, respect the temple of the water. And because I studied it, I knew what to do. I was walking down the hill and I started feeling guilt because one of the rules says you cannot go alone. But I was alone on a trip. I had nobody to go with. I kept walking and then I stopped. I said, maybe I shouldn't do this because I didn't want to make any mistakes. I just wanted to have a healing. And then I turned around and I start walking back. These birds start screaming so loud. Ah, ah, ah. I felt like they were telling me, no, stop, turn around. So I stopped because it was alarming. Are you telling me to keep walking? I kept walking down to waterfall and the birds were fine. They didn't say anything. But then after a while, my emotion came back. Maybe you need to follow the rules. This happened 3 times and I got the message.
3 times? The birds started and you turned back around. That's really brave of you to just go ahead and go with your feelings because of the birds and go against what you were thinking, because I can imagine what you must have felt. Wait a minute, I've done all of this for this healing. And the rule is that you have to have someone with you, but I'm alone. I don't have anyone with me. So how did you justify that?
I trusted the birds' guidance. I felt they were giving me permission. It's the spirit, and I was always connected to nature and spirit. I kept walking, and then you get to the waterfall, and you're supposed to imagine this beautiful temple of water spirit that lives there. So you bow and you say, I honor you. I respect you. You ask, can you please protect me? So then you take your clothes off, you submerge yourself in the water, and you ask, can you please help me clear any negativity from my thoughts, from my mind, my emotions? And then you think about what emotions you're releasing, if there's fear or this guilt, or from your heart, if there are any heartbreaks, and then your physical body and your spirit, right? If you have any attached spirit or anything. So you pray and ask for all that to be removed. You let the water rinse you, and when you feel that's complete, and you ask the water, can you please recharge me with fresh energy? So I did that. And it was so refreshing, rejuvenating. I really felt there's something happened. And then you walk away with honor and respect to the spirit of the water. So that was one of the healing modalities.
How was your knee feeling at this time? You walked all the way to the waterfall. Was your knee bothering you?
My pain in my knee got worse every day, more and more, and I didn't do any walking. That was the only walk I did, and I was concerned. But I did walk down, no problem. I also read in those books that when you get a healing, the pain gets worse because it's starting to heal. So I wasn't alarmed about it. I kind of knew it was a good thing. He also has another modality. He calls it the crystal bed treatment, where he has crystals aligned, pointing at each of your 7 chakras with different colors. So it's cleansing and energizing your chakras. So I went there, and when I went to get this treatment, before I was praying and asking if also they could work on my stomach, because I used to have stomach ulcers. And I thought, well, since I'm getting healing, why don't I ask for that as well? So I was laying on the bed, got my treatment, went outside. After the treatment, I sat in the park and I suddenly felt sharp knives stabbing me into my stomach. It was so excruciating pain. I looked around and suddenly in the park in the center, there was nobody there. I would have called for help, but I couldn't. There was nobody there. I tuned into my higher self and I prayed to God. I said, please stop. I can't take it. This is too much. And in the moment, it stopped. I was amazed because I have a feeling that there was some healing happening as well. And the fact there was nobody there. And then when it stopped, suddenly there were people in the park. That was a clear physical validation that something was happening.
Oh, that's interesting. So as you were feeling the stabbing pain and you were looking around, no one was around and you had no one to call out to for help. And then when you ask for it to stop, it stopped. And you look around and you see people. Wow. That's really interesting. That's amazing, actually. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I don't have any problems with my stomach. I also worked with my own crystal that I brought. I would meditate with it usually for sunsets. I used it for grounding, clarity, and emotional healing. And all of these experiences came together to support not just my physical recovery, but they opened me to a much deeper spiritual connection. I began to understand how energy, intention, and faith work together in the healing process. During my long meditations, especially in the evening with this crystal, I would hold the crystal and focus on higher vibrations, often while I was watching these beautiful sunsets. In those moments, I experienced an incredible heart opening, a feeling of deep love for Jesus Christ. It was the first time I've ever seen his image. I felt my heart opened up and I felt so much love flowing from my heart as I saw this beautiful red orange of the sunset. And I felt the connection to Jesus Christ. I was so grateful to him for this love that I was feeling. And then suddenly I remembered my parents and the love I feel for my parents. It was so healing that I never experienced before. That moment was profoundly moving. I felt immense love and gratitude, not just for Jesus, but also for my parents. For the first time, I felt a deep love and connection to something much greater than myself.
How was your return to California after spending 3 weeks in such a deep spiritual and meditative experience?
After 3 weeks of silence and meditation, I was standing at the airport waiting to board, and the flight attendant calls me and she says, "Oh, you upgraded to the first class on your flight back to San Francisco." And I looked at her because it was unexpected. She didn't even ask me for money, nothing. It was one of those old planes, 747. They have 2 stories. You sit on the nose of the plane on top, the first class, looking outside flying. And I had a bed right in the middle of it. I was stunned. To me, it felt like a sign of the positive changes that had taken place, a kind of reward for the hard work I had done in staying focused in meditation for 3 weeks in silence. It felt like a validation that the energy healing was successful and that my knee would fully heal.
And how was your knee feeling at the time?
Actually, it was getting much better. The pain already subsided. It was great. I went to see a doctor for another MRI for a checkup. He looks at the MRI and he says, "The ACL is stronger than most people's." I looked at him and he didn't say anything. He didn't ask me how I did it, nothing. He knew I didn't have surgery, nothing. I was so happy that my knee fully healed. I started skiing again like nothing has happened. I have been skiing ever since. It doesn't hurt. It's fully normal. It is a truly testimony that our own body knows how to heal itself when we support it.
What an amazing story.
This healing journey was more than just physical recovery. It became a truly transformative experience. It showed me the powerful impact that spiritual practices can have on the body, and it opened the door for deeper exploration into manifestation, energy work, and spiritual growth. And so my ACL was completely whole again. As I integrated this miracle, I realized something even deeper about the nature of true power. I realized something that has become a pillar of the ministry of divine light. The healer is never the source. They are merely a facilitator. The true work, the restructuring of my ACL, was a direct communion between my body and my soul. I share this with you so that you may know the power to manifest a miracle already lives within your own higher self. It is not found in a person. It is not found in a place. It is found in your own alignment with the divine. As I integrated this healing, I began to understand that it wasn't just one thing. It was a combination of inner work, physical support, and deep trust. I work with visualization, directing blood flow into my knee, visualizing the tissue repairing in very specific ways. I brought conscious, loving attention to my body, placing my hands on my knee and reconnecting with it. I listened deeply to what my body needed and supported it through nourishment and detox. But more than anything, it was a spiritual process. I opened my heart, connected to God, and through prayer and meditation, I learned how to receive healing. It became a deep communion, a communion with my body, learning to truly listen and respond to its intelligence, and a communion with God, learning to trust, surrender, and allow healing. And I realized that healing unfolds in that connection between the wisdom of the body and the grace of God. And from this experience, I developed a way to guide others through this process. In my course, I guide you step by step through these practices, including visualization, meditation, healing journeys, and detox support, so you can apply this work to your own body and your own healing. And if you feel called to more personal guidance, I also offer one-on-one sessions where we can work directly with your unique situation. Thank you for walking with me and Katerina through this healing journey. This was more than mending a knee. It was a remembrance that the body is a living intelligence. My healing unfolded through stillness, prayer, and the courage to cooperate with that natural wisdom rather than force it. If you're facing a torn place in your life, whether in your body, your heart, or your path, know that this is not a punishment. It is an invitation to slow down, to listen, and to allow restoration. In your next episode, we'll explore how this healing became a doorway into manifestation and how inner alignment begins to shape our outer reality. I invite you to join our community and find tools to support your own journey at ministryofdivinelight.com, or you can find the link in the description below. If you'd like to go deeper through courses or individual mentorship, you can connect with me there as well. Thank you for being a pillar of light with us today. Until next time, walk in harmony, stay connected to your inner light, and may divine light bless the whole world.